Five, four, three, two, one, zero. Good evening. Hi, cherubs. I hope you are all well. Welcome to the White Waves Views broadcast tonight, the WWVB. Sounds professional. This could be the beginning of a future Pakeha TV. You never know. So we'll just stick to that professional name now, the WWVB, coming to you live from Auckland, New Zealand, presented by the Pakeha Queen. That's me, because we don't have a Pakeha Queen, so I have assumed the role, and I'm anointed by God, and I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission for my people in New Zealand. We have a crisis. We have threats going on in New Zealand. We have three major threats to our national identity and our heritage here in New Zealand. Those three main threats are going to be discussed by the Pakeha Movement and those people that come on board. We're forming a Pakeha Council. And initially those are the people that are going to be coming together on an online conference. So if anybody's interested in being part of a foundation counsellor, a mastermind group, think tank, we need to plan and we need to prepare for what's coming, which is we don't even know what's coming, and that's the point. So I've initiated the Pakeha Movement, and I started just with this Facebook page, and I have a YouTube channel as well, and I've also hashed together a free standard website. And I'm throwing information on there, and I will put that link in the comments below when I'm finished. The Pakeha Movement has been born from these threats to our culture. It has been said that we don't have a culture, and I think we really need to explore those sort of notions that are going on in the community, that they can't really identify us with anything apart from just some bad stuff and justices from the past, and that seems to be the label that we get. We become pariahs. I don't mind people celebrating their exotic culture, but don't defame and shame and blame us in the process and blaspheme our faith, which was a shared faith with the Treaty Chiefs. And our shared interests, I think, are very important, and that's going to be the focus of the Pakeha Movement. I've got a statement on the homepage of the website, and it says that Pakeha, we need an organised, adapted leadership and ruthless voices for our suppressed ethnicity in a competitive multicultural society. Okay, so it's really just a statement that I made on the home page, and it really means that we need to identify ourselves and actually start to reimagine who we really are. There's a lot of native Pakeha here now, up to 8-9 generations of families. And a lot of us have come on board with the Pakeha Movement, and we're not happy about what's being said about our pioneer ancestors. Why is it that every culture gets to celebrate their rich and good, and we get, shamed and blamed? This culture war has really heated up all around the world, anti-colonial decolonisation, through the islands, Africa. They're just, there's a genocide against whites, but nobody cares, But we care. We care about our people. And while we've got the majority of us here in New Zealand, we need to step up and tribe up. Okay? Now, a lot of us have been angry about the Maorification, what we call Maorification of New Zealand. And we have a reason to be worried about it and concerned about it. And because we're not part of the discussions, we're not part of the Waitangi Tribunal, we haven't been able to defend, then we have to form our own council. Okay, and this is what we do as Pakeha culture, is organising ourselves, coming together and talking and having meetings. We used to do it in the settler halls, but now they've been overtaken by DEI, which is the other threat to our culture, which is a Christian values culture as well. The Pakeha culture has a faith attached to it, but it's not religion, it's humanitarian evangelical. That's how we started, and that is always our mission with that faith, and that's how we always have been. But we can't keep propping people up that have got into Hollywood now. They're doing good now, and they're overbiting. And so we've got a lot of complaints, okay? But aside that, God spoke to me, and this was a few years ago, not just recently. And he just said a few things, and it really struck me and made me pivot my, this journey that I'm on to lead this Pakeha movement. It sort of pivoted because I was very angry, and I felt defeated, and I felt, what can I do? I'm only just one woman. I don't have a big following, and I'm nothing special. But I just had a passion in my heart because I've read some of the journals of those early missionaries and the brave work that they did bridging a gap in a hostile environment, and I feel that those great achievements and that story it's not being told, and there's no balance. It's just all really bad stuff, and a lot of that bad stuff just didn't even happen. So there's disputes about narratives that are being taught in schools and things, and we haven't had a voice in that, all these sudden changes. But God said to me, you can't tear them down. You can only raise a standard. And when I heard that voice come to me, I thought, yeah, that's true. We've got to show them who we are. And if we don't like all of this stuff that's going on, we've got to show people how it should be. And a lot of that old culture that we used to have growing up in the 60s and 70s and 80s is all sort of faded out now. It's just gradually being chipped away at, and society's changed. And that's got a lot to do with the mass immigration as well, and the policies that the government has just really not, made some laws around that, or some restrictions, thinking about, they're not really thinking about the population of New Zealand. Everything's being run by minorities, and I think they've had their heyday now. We've been dominated by the Waitangi Tribunal, recommendations to government as if they're dictating, and they've become their own government. That's a threat. It's been a threat. It's been 50 years now, and it's been no Pakeha allowed in the Waitangi Tribunal. We haven't been able to defend what's been said in there about us. And those dark seeds that have been planted about our history have had a huge impact on our people. And that's why I started the Pakeha movement, because I'm interested in helping Pakeha cope with this. We're being victims now, but we can't expect anybody to come and do anything except us uniting as a community. Now, I've had some feedback too about the Pakeha name. A lot of people have said, oh, can you change the name? Or, I don't want to be called a Pakeha. Oh, that's a derogatory name. But do you actually know what it means? And all this sort of thing. And I'm like, you got to push past that. Okay? And I'll give you a few tips. Okay, don't reject the Pakeha name. It's not going to do us any good. It was an honourable name that those chiefs gave us. Way back then, they loved us. Because we did the work. We brought life from death to life, like the haka explains. Excuse me. Like the haka explains, basically the revival that was going on back then, and there was a revival. There's great stories to be told that are not being told. A lot of things are being covered up. So God said you can't tear them down, you can only raise a standard. So this is the core message, and we haven't got a lot of time. Anything can happen any day. We need to be prepared. We need to be prepared. Now, every other nationality and ethnic community in New Zealand has got themselves into special little huddle groups and associations. They've been set up by the government with trusts and all kinds of things, organisations. There's thousands of them. Maoris have got the most, Islanders have, and then all the ethnicities, but we don't have anything to differentiate us as an ethnic group that is actually being persecuted. So we've got to get together as an ethnic community and start discussing things. I don't believe we should protest and have marches or anything like that, because I think it's dangerous and it's a waste of time. And we can't get enough people quickly together enough to do a march. I just think everything's all marched and protested out. I think we can do our protests another way. Okay, there's politics, we vote every 3 years, yes, but we need more than that. We need to gather together, okay, and start planning, having some objectives and strategies. And this is what I've been putting up on the website. A lot of it is just ideas, and I want to gather people, whatever project or initiative you've got. If you're on a like-minded page, then go to the website that I'll put in the comments below and email me, and you can send a blog to me as well. I'll put a blog up on the blog part of it. Now on the website, since I'm talking about that, is a home page, and I've got a blog on there, on the home page, and in the menu there's a registry, which is really the first phase of the Pakeha movement, is numbers. Okay, let's not reinvent the wheel. You need numbers. You need lots of people, and it takes time, and that's okay. It may take a year or two to get big numbers, but that's all right. We'll just keep going at it. We've got to start sometime and get ourselves a safety net and some security for our children for the future. Otherwise, we're going to get lost in a sea of multiculturalism, tribal takeover, woke and bloke and rainbow, and we're going to get lost in all of that. And you know, if we don't stand up for ourselves and for God and country, we're going to be swamped out in one way or the other. We will be. So this is why I'm starting this. On the menu on the website, the registry, which is really just emailing and saying that you want to be on the email list for newsletters and in our email group. Okay, so you can be kept in the loop. So that's the first on the menu. Then there's history and the treaty. Now, this is the big confusing argument. The Maoris have had 50 years of spreading their propaganda, their fake fiction and fraud. Now, we're going to be coming in with our new treaty workshops. Now, part of what's going to be going on the website is some stock co-governance, Julian Batchelor's material. He's just done some astronomical work. Thank you so much, Julian Batchelor. He's been creating booklets for a few years now. He tried to have meetings in settler halls, and he was just persecuted by gangs of Maoris outside the door. He just had to stop doing it. This is why we can't protest, okay, because it's dangerous, and we can do better things with our time and our energy and our money, all right? And so we pull our ideas together. This is what the Pakeha culture is. We come together. In the old days, if you needed to build a bridge, you built a bridge, right? You all came together and built a bridge. If you needed a school, we need a school. You need a chapel, let's build the chapel. Okay, and we need to mobilise now, and we need to get some security and a safety net for our future. We come together and we do it. Okay, so that's what we need to do. And we already have the mandate. We already have God on our side too. And, you know, the old treaty chiefs, they'd be rolling in their graves if they knew what these rebellious Maoris were doing now. Everything that they shouldn't have been. And if there's any principles, we're going to be highlighting principles of the Kohimarama Treaty, which was the amended treaty of 1860. So part of the history treaty menu on the website, we're going to be creating our own treaty workshops, online ones, which we're going to probably be promoting Julian's work there, because he's made some booklets about the Kohimarama conference, which every student needs to read. The Maoris stay clear of that because they don't like quoting the treaty chiefs. In the old days when I was growing up in the 60s, 70s and 80s, when they were having some of their protests after the land march, they used to chant, honour the treaty chiefs, honour the chiefs, honour the chiefs. But now they don't do that. They don't do that now because since the Waitangi Tribunal, and they've had all these historians comb through the archives, they've realised what the treaty chiefs really did say and really did think and want and everything. And they just won't quote any of it because it is in opposition to their narratives and what they want embedded and what they have been embedding. So instead of trying to tear them down, okay, part of it is exposing them, yes, but instead of spending your energy trying to tear them down and getting frustrated and panicking, what are we going to do, what are we going to do? It's all slipping out, our heritage is being dismantled, the museums and the art places are being swamped with boohoo artwork and foreigners at the desk, and it's like we don't exist anymore. That's what it feels like, and I think a lot of Pakeha people will really relate when I say that. It's like we don't exist, or they don't want us to exist. We have this, like they've stained us deliberately, and Maoris never used to be like that when I was growing up. This has all been orchestrated and planned, and that's another study that I've done too, how the land march ended up getting Maoris such a lot, and why, and how did that happen. That's another story. So the history and the treaty is very important, that we all have educational unity. We think the same about it, and we understand it, and we can live with that understanding. There's 3 simple articles of it. But the fact of the matter is, us Pakeha, we've got a lawful challenge, and if you don't like the Pakeha name, stop running it down. Just keep it in your top pocket for now, because we've got a legal fight on our hands. Some of us descendants from early settlers, we're considered native now according to law if you're 6th generation or more, and my family's 8th generation, right? We have the right to take, as the other race of the treaty, the Pakeha is the name on the title on the names on the documents, the treaty documents. Pakeha and Maori are the 2 races of the treaty, it says it. Okay, and if we're native now, we have rights. Remember, the Maoris used to have native rights, and then all of a sudden it became indigenous rights? Yeah? Well, I have intuition. I know I can see behind things. I have this uncanny gift. I can see right through things, eh? Maybe God gave me that, but I see behind that. It's just, there's a lot of sinister things that have gone on behind closed doors by stealth. But instead of trying to tear it down, we raise a banner. Okay? And we have to raise the ethnic banner because everybody else is already in an ethnic collective. They're voting collectively. They're doing all those things collectively. They've got the Indian business movement. I mean, they're just self-serving. Okay, this is what we've turned into. We haven't made it that way. We've been left behind because we were never like that. But now everybody else is like that. We have to adapt. That's what I call it, adapting. Okay, so don't run down the Pakeha name. It has an honourable name. Gods of the sea, I mean, that's what we were looked upon by them. They loved us. It was only the rebels that continued to fight. Okay, but the treaty chiefs worked with us, and we finally got it right until the Waitangi Tribunal, and that was a big curse that came down on us then. But that's another story. The Parihaka story and all of that is going to be covered, and we're going to be putting modules together and showing people material that they've never seen before. Talking about never seen before, the other thing about the Pakeha name, it's a legal title as the other race of the treaty, so if we have a lawful fight, we have that, so it carries weight lawfully. It also differentiates us, and I've talked about that, in a sea of multiculturalism that we weren't prepared for. So it's necessary to acknowledge our ethnicity as a collective or a set of clans, which is another idea that we have, is by your surname. So you could choose a surname in your immediate family, like your grandparents or the one you have now or your parents or whatever, and connect to a clan, like the Maoris connect to a tribal iwi. They connect to a tribe in an iwi. I mean, that was all just set up for them. So we're entitled to be set up like that too, because if we don't, all of these people are just going to kick us to the curb and push us out. We've already lost a lot of our people. Now, that means we've lost family lineage, and we've lost it. Okay, they don't care, so we have to care about ourselves. The Pakeha name has to be embraced and seen as something powerful. Okay, what else have we got in the sea of everybody else identifying and celebrating out there while our colonial heritage is being blasphemed? You know, we need to bring Pakeha back, make the name great again, and start celebrating our colonial culture and our achievements. And if everybody else is going to be good and rich, well, just concentrate on the good and rich of what we did. And that's how we get along and harmonise. That's how there's going to be harmony between people. Okay, all of these people out there, the Maori people and all of those immigrants coming in, I mean, if you're listening to this, one day you're going to have to work together with us. Okay? Because it was the Pakeha that are governing the country. That's what the treaty chiefs chose. They trusted us to do that. They were going to be involved with the council, but not the parliament. We've let a lot of bad actors in. We've been too friendly and soft. So the government isn't going to save us. They might be able to do a few things, you know, but us as an ethnic community, as Pakeha, we are the ones that have the solutions, okay, as long as we come together and talk about it. All these other people are self-serving, okay, so it's not going to look bad. Don't worry about it if you get called a racist. You know, don't worry about it. They're the ones that are self-serving and only employing each other. You know, you just have to have the right response. We have to define what our culture is, to reimagine our significance and historical value and achievements. We want to feel free to celebrate or have some freedom of association and retell those forgotten scenes that are fading away into the grey and being removed and replaced. It's quite a grieving process. If you mention it, they just laugh at you. And nobody's going to sympathise with the white man because apparently we're the reason why everybody else has, all the melanateds have a problem. So we've got to get past that. Embrace the Pakeha title because we're native now, okay, and we're not going to let anybody else take over, okay, because what we've seen so far isn't working, and it's ruined a lot of the community feel in society. So on the website, which I'll put the link in the comments, you can look at all those things that I've loaded up on there, and it'll give you more of an insight to what we're all about, and you connecting with me, especially emailing me so I can get you on the newsletter list. Okay, so all of this history, what we want to do is we want to unearth and unveil things, and there's a lot of cover-ups being had, like the original final English treaty that was translated into Te Reo has never been seen by the public. I mean, it's just hidden away in a cupboard in the museum, you know, and they use a different English treaty. I mean, why use a different one? Use the original one. Although it was lost for a long time, but it was found in 1989. But because the Waitangi Tribunal had been using just a draft version, because there was quite a few drafts made in 1840 of the English treaty before the final one was agreed on. The final one, we need to see it. It needs to come out of the museum. What do you reckon? That's going to be one of our, I mean, gosh, we should just go, you know, bring it out. We want to see it. All of these 50 years of these history treaty workshops these Maori people have been having, what English treaty have they been showing, if any? I mean, oh yes, the Rogue James Freeman version, the draft. That's a fraud. That's not the real McCoy. So because they were pressured about that, they got Hugh Carveru to commission a back translation, and this is really the devil's work, calling it out as the devil's work. The back translation of the Te Reo version into English. That's not even the original document, is it? How dare you do that? I mean, we haven't had a voice in the picture here, us Pakeha. We've been crying out for 50 years about this, and nobody's listening to us. And we are going to have our voice heard, okay? By hook or by crook. We're going to put it together, and we're going to expose evil wherever it is found, because that's part of the faith of our culture, is to expose evil and bring the truth through. Bringing the truth through. And this is what people are crying out for. They're crying out for the truth, educational unity. We want to expose the fraud, connect the dots and piece it all together, okay? Because we're sick of the extortion as well. Our country was wealthy once. It was. It was wealthy, and we're falling for all of these scams and frauds, and it's not right. We need to unite as Pakeha ethnicity, see it for what it is, and become a force to be reckoned with. Okay, we have to be a collective. We can't get away from it. Otherwise, you're just going to be like a leaf tossed in the wind, a ship without a rudder, and you're going to be swamped and made to do things. Half the people already in New Zealand are too scared to speak out about history and the treaty. Even all the academics in the universities and just any old body at school, whatever, in the workplace, they're too afraid. We're under oppression, people. We protest this oppression of the Maori, who are mostly European and in bits of everything. Okay, it's not right. In the old days, it used to be you had to be 50% Maori to draw on grants and things like that, and I think that they should bring that back. Among other things that they should bring back, the Rebel Act, the Tūhanga Suppression Act, and the Blasphemy Against Christianity Act. That's what they used to have. I mean, if the Maoris want to go back into the old days, that's what they had. They weren't supposed to be rebelling and saying they were sovereign and going against the Crown or Pakeha. They weren't supposed to be mixing the languages or even getting into politics. That was really the rules, right up until, they started letting them into politics. And that was all right to begin with. There were some good ones, right? Sir Apirana Nata and Peter Buck and all of those ones. But since 1975, the Waitangi Tribunal and this new Maori party formed, they should have never let that happen, unless they had a Pakeha party to balance it out, the other race of the treaty. Now, I'm not into, I am socio-political, yes, but I'm not interested in starting a Pakeha party, okay, or a Euro party or anything like that. I think we've got enough minor parties, but as we build our database, there's no reason why somebody, if somebody wants to start a Pakeha party, they can, use the database of people. If people, we could promote that. If there was we'd promote it. But the Pakeha movement isn't exactly aligned to any political party as such. We all have our personal votes, and voting in elections used to be a personal thing. It's become like more public now, and that's why there's a lot of arguments. It's supposed to be private. You're not supposed to be asking people who they're voting for or trying to manipulate or coerce people into voting for. There's just a lot of this out the gate instability going on, which we contest and we protest it. So we're going to be having intellectual protesting and doing what is required and not reinventing the wheel. Okay, we're going to mobilise the community. We're going to have treaty workshops online, and then we can have them physically in local venues once we plan it really well. And I've even thought about doing a play, because people learn really well from watching it. They like to be entertained. And I was brought up in the theatre, and I'm a singer and a songwriter. I'd love to do a little play, with certain scenes of history and how it really went, acted out in a play. I think people would really respond to that. And if there's anybody out there that's done singing and dancing or would like to be in a play and has done some acting or some drama or even comedy, Let me know. Go to the website and email us and say, hey, I wouldn't mind being part of the creative team, because we're going to create a creative team, okay, as part of the Pakeha Cultural Centre. We're looking for a space in Auckland. If anybody can sponsor us for a space where we can start the Pakeha Cultural Centre, so much can branch from that. So much. Opportunities too. We're going to have an employment agency, and it's going to be Pakeha Employment. I mean, all the other collectives and nationalities are doing it. And then calling us racist? No, we have to wake up, Kiwis. We really do. We have to wake up to this, and we have to wake up and tribe up. Okay? So if somebody wants to get political, we'll support them in that. Not necessarily say vote for them, but we'll support you and promote you on the website. That's the idea, to get everybody promoted on the website, so we've got a generic engine room, and we can, people can just go there and look up information, whatever people are doing, initiatives, projects. So let us know what you're doing. We're going to have blogs on there. Send us a blog about how you feel about what's going on. Make your voice heard. Okay, we're going to be the voice for the people. What else did I want to cover? Let's have a little drink. Okay, on the law side, because what we're going to do is, us descendants of the ancestors, of the early pioneers, right? We're going to be taking a lawsuit to the court about all of this persecution and racism and defamation of our race. Okay, that's what we're going to do. It's going to be prepared well, and we're going to have a lawyer as well. We're hoping to get a free lawyer. The Maoris have got free lawyers and historians combing the books for them, cherry picking out anything that looks a little bit it's like, we've been hung out to dry, people. Been through the bloody gauntlet, the laundry. It's like, we are entitled to these things. We're entitled to have our voice heard. We don't really want to go to the Waitangi Tribunal and be let in there or have access to there. We want our own tribunal. Okay, and if the government won't set us up with it, we'll set our own up. We'll just have our mock tribunal like they did with the COVID. They had the mock pandemic. Oh, what would we do if it happened? And then like 6 months later it happened. It's like, yeah, they just, that was reality. So we'll just have a mock tribunal. Make it a play. There's ways around all these things, people. We just need to get innovative, and we need entrepreneurs and people with lots of ideas. We also need philanthropists. The Maori people have got so many philanthropists, people with lots of money, giving to them as well as extorting from taxpayers, as well as getting drip-fed so much, as well as handouts, as well as funding here, funding there, and going all around the world, and just it's just saturated. We are entitled to a slice of that. We're the ones that are marginalised now. Even though we're the majority, we're marginalised. There's a lot of Pakeha people that have become self-loathing, happy to destroy your own heritage. Traitors. I mean, what are we supposed to think of that? This is disturbing, and I'm disturbed about it. Okay, we've got to raise a banner. If you want to celebrate your culture, you don't have to run another culture down. Okay? We won't have to do that to celebrate our culture. There is a white wave going on around the world. The white people are biting back. And they're being confident about biting back, and that's what we need to do as well. Just concentrate on the great things that the white people have done. The Caucasians, or whatever you want to call them, Israelites, I mean, we've had a terrible run as well. I mean, didn't the blacks enslave the Israelites for 400 years? I mean, yeah, the blacks enslaved the white Israelites. They did. They were whites. Aryan people. Enslaved. And I think they built all those fantastic monuments too with their intelligence. But what we're looking to get from, we need a Crown Relations Minister. That's what we need to do. I'm going to be talking to one of the MPs. I'm not sure who yet, or somebody else can help me with that. We want recognition in law as as a Pakeha title, recognised in law. Okay, so we've got to have that recognised. That's what we're going to take to court. We want it recognised as a legal title with the same rights as Maori. Okay, if they got a whole load of native rights for a period of time before they become Indigenous rights, which is a whole other quantum leap into another bloody dimension, galaxy, then by now we are entitled to the native rights. So we're going to find out what those native rights are and exert our rights there as the other race of the treaty. We want English as the cemented as the official language of New Zealand, and we want Christianity as the official faith. You don't have to call it a religion, because I'm not religious. I don't go to church, but I'm faithful to God because I've met Him so many times. I've had so many experiences. That's just another whole gamut on its own. And I've written two books. They're not published, but I've written 2 books about my supernatural life with God and all those things that have happened to me. So if anybody questions, and I say I've got this ministry and I'm God anointed and that, then you can talk to me on another occasion about that. I've got my holy bio there for you. We want the official name of the country's official faith being Christianity, and that's what the treaty chief said too. They said the new tikanga is Christianity, and they expected that to be ake, 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 okay, for always. They expected their descendants to be evangelized, and they've been shutting the door to that. They've been kicking Christianity to the curb, blaspheming it and all of that. They've been breaching and dishonouring, okay, them, not us. We haven't rebelled against the Crown. We haven't attacked Maori. We haven't been out there protesting in the street wanting this. No. But we're just going to gather it together ourselves. Our official founding faith and the official name of New Zealand as well. We don't want to be taken over by Aotearoa, which was a white guy's name in a book. It's like, it wasn't the Maori name for New Zealand. It's Nuturini is the translation. Yes, we want a tribunal. Okay, because at the moment it's no Pakeha allowed. We want a Crown Relations Minister. I mean, every ethnicity has a special minister of the government, and they pander over them like you wouldn't believe. We don't have anything. We want 200 clan organisations set up for us. The government did this all for Maori, 200 iwi trusts. We want 200 clan trusts, and we want to identify with our clan by surname. My surname is Morrison, and that is linked to the clan Buchanan. Okay, so we're going to make clan groups. Eventually, over the years, you can have local groups in your city and town where you're all part of that clan, and I don't know, we just build our own ethnic, and we should be able to get funding for that. So within those structures, we can make sure that our codes and values and traditions and customs and interests are being maintained and taught to our children. We want to have a children's school and teach the ACE education for parents who are sick and tired of having their kids in the school with the woke, bloke and tribal choke, and maybe you can't homeschool. We're going to have a school in the Pakeha cultural centres, and we're going to run the ACE education program. It's an accelerated Christian education. It's all packaged and everything. It's all done. Okay, not by us, by somebody else. And you buy the package and you run it. So there are various ways that we can get that up and running. Okay, so you can continue to work if you're working, and you can send your child to the ACE education program from the Pakeha Cultural Centre. Okay, and so we also want a Pakeha Youth League. Okay, and out of that we want a Pakeha haka team, because we've got a perspective on the haka, and we believe it has another interpretation. Okay, that's another story. I'll get into that. So we're looking for a youth league. Okay, where a team can do our. I'll help choreograph it because I've done dancing and stage work and what have you. I've got some ideas. We can create a new haka. Okay, for us. And we can showcase an educational Pakeha cultural belief and faith through that, and that also is a story, because the haka is a story It's the chief's testimony of becoming a Christian, because that's what happened back then. There was a revival. I know the Maoris don't like to believe that there was, like these rebellious radical ones. They don't like to believe. This is why they say, oh, how could it be possible that 100,000 Maori and their chiefs just handed their sovereignty to the monarchy, to Pakeha, to 2,000 Pakeha that were living there at the time? That just doesn't make sense, they say. That doesn't make sense. Well, it doesn't make sense because you don't understand a Holy Spirit revival. That's why it doesn't make sense to you. And that's why you don't like Christianity, because it took the whole race from death to life. And there was tribes that fought against that, and they were warned by the chiefs, if you keep fighting against the crown, attacking Pakeha, destroying farms, confusing everybody with mixing the languages, setting fires everywhere, destroying everything, you're going to have your land confiscated and there's going to be lives lost. And they just kept doing it, and that was the New Zealand Wars. The treaty chiefs wanted that, and the colonials became soldiers. Do you think that those English people came over here to settle here after the treaty was signed? A lot of people came just to have a war with these savage cannibal Maoris that wanted to continue with their tikanga? Do you think that was the plan? I mean, doesn't anybody ever think about that? The lives that were lost, the Pakeha lives that were lost? How about a memorial for that? And how about a memorial for that? Well, this is what we have to do as the Pakeha movement. We want to have our plaques and memorials, and we're going to defend every statue that those Maori people want to tear down. I see they've put all their totem poles up and all their little witchcraft poles up around the country. You know, they know how we feel about that. They do. They don't care. They're having utu. They're doing the utu on us. Utu, however you say it. That's what's happening. So we have to get knowledgeable, because God says, my people perish through lack of knowledge. So we've got to take in knowledge. And education is the key. Educational unity. We've got the golden keys. The 1840 treaty was made null and void. It was, and it was amended, and it was redone in 1860. These Maori people are clinging on to the 1840, and we're going to come out and say it's cancelled. So if you hear a Maori person saying honour the treaty, all you have to do is say, which one are you talking about? The 1840 or the 1860 Kohinoorama Covenant? And you can really get them, and people will just go, oh, what's that? Yeah, and then you got them. What you got to do is you got to be ready with the answer. Don't be afraid to speak out. Usually people are afraid it's because they don't know how to answer, they don't know what to say, they don't have enough knowledge about it. That's why you got to knowledge up. You got to knowledge up. Forget about what they're doing. It's not going to go any further. The pendulum is starting to swing the other way. There's a big white wave around the world. We're fighting back. We're biting back. And we're not going to be as friendly and soft when we get our country back, when we get our colonial institutions back and under our control and our quality and our beautiful. Nobody cares about the things that we've lost in New Zealand except us. Except us. There's so much that's missing. That's why people say we don't have a culture, because it's not promoted. Where's the Pakeha name? I want to see our name in lights. I want to see us do a documentary, films, books, new music, a fresh new sound. How about we have a national costume, song and dance? It's Pakeha. We're just as close to the Pawa shell and the silver food. And like I said, on board the Pakeha movement, we're getting a lot of people saying that they are descendants of people from the early 1800s. Okay, and we're a pissed off bunch. We're not going to take this racism from Te Pāti Māori anymore. We're going to be taking a lawsuit against Te Pāti Māori, because we believe they're inciting violence amongst the Māori people, and that's caused the separatism and division and apartheid between the race relations between Pakeha and Māori, which when I was growing up, we had exemplary relationships. We did. It was wonderful and fantastic, and anybody that's over 50 won't disagree with me. We had it all going on and we got it right. Somebody didn't like it, somebody was jealous, and it was those people from way back that had their land confiscated and lives lost. It's them, the Kingitunga, the genociders of the past, that we're glorifying now. And we're letting those types of people into Parliament, and now we're in trouble and we're in a crisis. The only people that can figure and do something about it is us, Pakeha, the other race of the treaty. So don't reject the Pakeha name. Keep it in your top pocket for now. Embrace it. Love it. It meant well. Colonialism in New Zealand was invited by the treaty chiefs. They had a taste of it and they wanted it. They trusted us. They covenanted with God first. They got baptized. Okay, and if these radical Maoris today don't want to believe that there was a revival, too bad. Because what you're dealing with Pakeha is you're actually dealing with God, the Creator. So all the while you're trying to claim more and more land, you're biting into our Christian land as well that was gifted by the treaty chiefs. We're going to be going for that as well. We're going to be looking at boundaries, huge, large tracts of land. The entire headlands of Rotorua belongs to Pakeha Christians. It was gifted to us for the ongoing work of the ministry. And we want to know what's going on that land and what's happened to it. The Maori people are biting into Crown land as well, and we're losing a lot. They want the foreshore and the seabed. What happened to the Queen's Chain? Pakeha can't afford to sit back and watch our heritage crumble. All of that hard work. We've got to do it for God and country. We can't have people out there and our children being oppressed at school. Okay, you've got to have a tikanga exemption card. We've got those as well. Just email. Go to the website. I'll put it in the comments. Everything I could possibly put on there is there at the moment, and we're going to keep adding to it all the time. Okay, so keep an eye. Usually once a week I do a live, and I'll keep you updated. But I'm pretty much repeating a lot of stuff because I want people to understand who I am and why I'm doing this, and understand why the Pakeha movement has been born, and that we are defending our heritage. We want to celebrate our heritage, and we want to expose lies, because it's all very well to have your own opinion and perspective and belief and interpretation on something, but if somebody's trying to knock on the door of the law and they're trying to get their fraud, fiction and fake into law, no, that's when it becomes serious problem. That's a serious problem now. So if you want a safer country, a happier country, a more wealthy country for your future generations, then you need to stand up now, because now is the time. The time is short, and we've got those 3 threats, and we really need to educate our children. Okay, we can have a children's treaty workshop, but the treaty is really for adults as far as I'm concerned, and it ends up being it is what you make it, because the Parliament formed and then that was that. We have law and order now. That hasn't really changed. I don't believe that Maori people, especially if they're radical rebels, should have a hotline to the government that every single day they're complaining about some bill that's put on the table just because they're Maori and just because they're there. I'm sick and tired of seeing them using our parliamentary house like a litigation court and an activist platform. The Green Party has been hijacked. I think they need to be dismantled and start all over again and see if people vote for you then. Because there's a lot of people that still think the Greens have got, some fluffy love for the environment. They haven't. Because thousands of emails have been sent to the Greens, photos of these horrible weather modification chemtrails that have been going on in New Zealand for decades, and they just completely ignore it. They act like it's not happening. That is just, there's something wrong with that. Okay, we've got to realise there's something wrong. Our government has been hijacked in a lot of ways. And what I can see is with the Maorification, the DEI, and the Islam and those religions, they don't know what to do about it. They're walking a tightrope. I understand that. But the community itself, okay, we're the governors. We decide. at the end. We just need the numbers. Okay, we just need the numbers. The amount of people that are willing to like sign petitions or whatever. Once we get a huge database, see, this is how the Maoris did it. They've got a huge database now because they were funded to network and we were left out. We didn't think we needed to do it. Okay, but we are many steps ahead. So there's hope. Okay, there's hope for a future. Okay, we've got a plan. We want other voices in on that plan too. So go to the website, email us, type Pakeha in the subject box when you email me, otherwise you'll get lost in the junk mail. And just keep in the loop. Okay, just keep in the loop. So yeah, that's about all I've got to say tonight. Is really just the faith, the hope and the love is what we're clinging to here. And I will be pumping at it and coming up and trying to connect with people that are like-minded as well. I want to do a connection with Australia for an Anzac civil, I'm calling it. It's not boots on the ground war. The Anzacs going overseas to a war. No, this world war is a culture war. It's a culture war, and we've got to man up and be soldiers. We took our hands off the plough, okay, and now unfortunately we can't run back to the field. What we've got to do is we've got to turn those ploughshares into swords now. Unfortunately, we left it too long. The church has failed us as well. That's another story. I talk about that in my book, how the churches have failed people by not keeping them armoured up with the armour of God, with common sense, morality and values, shared values. Everyone wants to be happy. Everybody hurts when they get stabbed. Just everybody values. That's what Pakeha culture is, everybody. That's why we've just allowed people to have a field day and a heyday around us. But the time's up, okay, and in some cases the door to mercy is closing. It's a couple of minutes to midnight. The time is short and the enemy is very strong. Okay? Alright, so that's about the end of it for me tonight. So I'll be back in about another few days or another week. I'd like to start doing some topical lives about certain subjects. You can let me know if you want to know anything about certain subjects, but really I want to stick with the culture wars that we're having here, the three major threats and how we can combat it. Okay? So we can do it. We can do it. We already have what it takes, and we've already got the people that realise now and have really woken up to a lot of things. And now it's up to people to just form together, and all of those people that are on those projects and initiatives to come together like a big think tank. And then we can take better and better action as the years go on. It's going to take time, okay, but good things take time. It's like a fine wine, all right? So, love to all my people, all the cherubs out there, and I'll see you next time. Bye.